It's a great privilege and honor to introduce our next speaker, Chancellor Banks. He is the leader of the largest public school system in the world and has worked diligently and tirelessly with myself and the education department in bringing thousands of students to learn and enjoy the lessons of history through culture. He is a man of deep conscience. I am so proud to call him a close friend, and I look forward to working with him in bringing the 1.1 million school children to the halls of this museum. If I were to use just one word to describe him, it would be righteous. Chancellor.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I just want to say how happy I am always when I have an opportunity to return home. This is the neighborhood that I grew up in. I was born on Montgomery Street, between Nostrand and Rogers, just a couple of blocks away. And in fact, my mom and dad raised 3 boys right here. My mother had me. She was very young, about 18 years old. And my brother Philip, who many of you know is the deputy mayor of public safety, Phil Banks, came 11 months after me. That's what I said. And in fact, yes, that's it. And in fact, it wasn't until I got older and I started having my own children, I said to my dad, "Dad, what were you thinking?" He said, "Well, son, I just loved your mother very, very much." My brother Terry came 2 years later. My mother had 3 boys right here on Montgomery Street by the time she was 21 years old. And my mom and dad stuck together as a family. My father was a New York City police officer, did almost 30 years on the NYPD. I always celebrate the NYPD. And my mother and father have been married now for over 62 years. Yeah. And I would ask those of you who really believe in the power of prayer to lift up my mother. Janice Banks is her name. Please lift up her name. She is suffering the early stages of dementia. It's very, very difficult for our family at this time to watch my mother in this process. And many of you I know have gone through similar situations as well. But this was the neighborhood of my birth. I was a student at PS 161 on Crown Street, right next to a yeshiva. And I'm sure many of you know what I'm talking about, just a few blocks from here. I came back years later to become a teacher. I taught at PS 167, right down on Eastern Parkway, in the corner of Eastern Parkway and Schenectady. I was an assistant principal at PS 191 down on Buffalo and Ralph. Watch this. I was a school safety agent before I was even a teacher at Clara Barton High School, just a few blocks that way. So this has been my neighborhood. It's a neighborhood that reared me and taught me so many just valuable lessons in life. And all throughout my life, I had Jewish friends. As a teacher, I had Jewish colleagues, and so I've always had the sensitivity for the Jewish community and great respect, great love, and affinity for my Jewish brothers and sisters. And that's why it's so heartbreaking for me to see, as we see these issues of anti-Semitism rearing their ugly head yet again. But it is a moment that we are going to meet, and we're going to meet it together. This is also the borough where I became the biggest Knicks fan in the world. I grew up with Walt Frazier and Willis Reed and Earl of Pearl and all of those guys. And so it's a thrill to be here with Amari, who I salute because he came back to New York at a time when a lot of big stars were afraid of the huge spotlight of New York City. But he was not. My only regret is that if he had converted to Judaism earlier, we might have won a championship. I I have visited Israel twice at the invitation of the JCRC and Rabbi Michael Miller, who, by the way, yesterday, Deborah, we hosted at our headquarters, New York City Public Schools headquarters, the first time in history we celebrated Jewish Heritage Month with a full display of song and dance and culture and tribute. Rabbi Joseph Kotasnik and so many others joined us for that occasion. And one of the most beautiful, heartfelt things for me was at one point while the music was playing, many of the Jewish women who worked for us started to dance. And others got up from their seats and ran over to join them, arm in arm, hand in hand. It was a beautiful, beautiful sense of pride and celebration for their culture. And that is what we have to continue to bring. And when they were done, I brought up Michael Miller, and I thanked him and Bob Kaplan, who had invited me to Israel. Where when you go to Israel and you go to somebody like me and you go and you visit Yad Vashem, you will never be the same. And when Michael Miller left our event yesterday, Deborah, you may, he was hit on the Upper East Side by one of these speeding motorbikes and broke both of his legs. And he was in surgery today. So please say a prayer for Michael Miller. He's a dear friend. And if you didn't know that, please reach out. He's at Weill Cornell Medical Center in recovery, and I'm sure he'll be in recovery for some time. But I want to I have to thank Deborah, because she has been a bright, shining light. When I became Chancellor, she reached out in such a powerful way to say that we have to be deeply, deeply connected. Because she understands clearly that the ultimate antidote to anti-Semitism is education. You have to raise the consciousness of the mind. I'm focused on discipline and safety, and where we see issues of hate that raise their head, we have to respond. And when there's appropriate discipline that has to take place, we do that. But you cannot discipline your way to acceptance. You can only do that through love, through education, and through raising the consciousness of a spirit of people. That's what this museum represents. It's an opportunity for young people to come here and to see the common humanity that they have. You know, kids grow up and they respond with acts of hate because it comes from ignorance. It doesn't come from a place where they mean it to be bad or they're born that way. If they don't know, you have to expose them. So you can talk about it, but you have to expose young people so that they understand who the Jewish people are and the contributions that they have made, not only to New York City and not only to America, but to the world. And when you do that, that's when you can begin to change this insidiousness of hate. And that is what we are absolutely committed to. We are creating a brand new curriculum for the first time. You know, right now in New York State, it is the law. We teach about the Holocaust in grades 8 and 9 and 11, but we don't teach the full breadth of the Jewish experience, which is much greater than the Holocaust. And so we are now going to be working with academics from all around the world who are helping us to shape this new curriculum that about a year from now we will come out with a brand new curriculum that will really talk about the whole history of the Jewish people, and it will be taught from kindergarten all the way through the 12th grade. Every grade will be exposed to the Jewish people. And so I'm going to take my seat. I want to thank Deborah, who how she has spent her life after Ari's murder is an inspiration for me. It's the love of a mother, that she decided not to just mourn unto herself, but to turn that pain into purpose. And that's why you are all here. That's why this museum exists. And we want it to be more than just 4 walls of a museum. We have sent a couple of thousand students here since I became Chancellor. But my commitment is to send thousands and thousands and thousands of young people who are going to come to this museum, starting in September. We're going to have young people from all across the city who are going to be here every single day. And so I say that to you, Gala, as a pledge. I love you. I thank you. I respect you so much. I know you told me you like me, but you love my brother more. I'm not quite sure why, but I just want you to know, all of my brothers, my entire family, my father, we love you and we appreciate you, and God bless you. Thank you.